Need a coupe that can handle the daily commute, weekend adventures, and deliver on a very compelling surprise? Well, look no further than this BMW M440i xDrive. What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Max Racer, lover of driving fast, fun things, and on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. Now, if you look at the specs of this M440i, it kind of ticks all the boxes. It's got a lot of performance, great handling, a lot of luxury, and a whole lot of tech, because this is a 2025 model year BMW, but it's more than just the specs. And before we get into what this is like to drive, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. If you're a fan of BMWs, this mechanical recipe is going to seem very familiar, but there's more going on here for this 2025 M440i. Under the hood is BMW's legendary turbocharged 3-liter inline 6, and get this, it's now a mild hybrid, so it gets a bump in power and torque over 2024. This now makes 386 horsepower at 5,800 RPM and 398 pounds of torque from 1,800 to 5,000 RPM. Transmission's an 8-speed automatic. The xDrive, of course, is a rear drive biased all-wheel drive system, and this also gets the M Sport electronically controlled limited slip diff at the back. Steering is electrically assisted, and it is BMW's well-known variable ratio, variable assist setup. It's worth mentioning that this gets the M Sport suspension as well, which includes adaptive dampers. This also gets the big M Sport brakes. Wheels and tires are 19s, and all of this comes at a price on the scales. Curb weight of this M440i xDrive is a little over 4,000 pounds. Did you know that about 80% of you are not subscribed? Yes, it's true. I checked the data and 80% of you are not subscribed. So if you enjoy the content on this channel, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button. While you're at it, be sure to like this video and share it. And if you don't mind, drop by our merch store. There's lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode. Behind the wheel, can't complain. This is a wonderful BMW designed cockpit. Great relationship to the steering wheel and to the pedals. Very much driver centric, although this is modern BMW, so we do have the big pane of screens here in front of us, but the digital instrument cluster is fantastic. Very legible in all kinds of lighting, and it's configurable as well. The infotainment system is BMW's latest, works just fine, maybe a little too complex for my liking, as we've discussed on previous episodes. However, you can run it on Apple CarPlay, and I suppose there's Android Auto if you're one of those phone users. But overall, the electronics in here work just fine, like the way they do that. Not a big fan of the climate controls kind of migrating into this screen. I'd prefer to have some buttons like they used to have on BMWs, but this is a trend I can do without for sure. As far as the fundamentals go, this seat is fantastic. I've gotten to spend a lot of time behind the wheel of this particular car, and if you're not familiar with BMWs, you might find the seats to be on the firm side, but I can tell you over long distances, these are very comfortable, very supportive, and you're going to be well rested at the end of your journey. I have put on a bunch of miles in this car and gotten to know it very, very well. Very happy with these seats. They're exceptionally comfortable and supportive, highly adjustable, and I have no complaints. The thing is, with the coupe in the front row with myself and my wife on a long road trip, this was just the perfect road trip companion. We could put a few things in the back seat, and in a pinch, you could put somebody in the back seat if you wish. I would have to compromise my seating position if I want to put somebody comfortably seated behind me, but that wouldn't be a problem because, of course, I'm always the driver. This is a coupe after all, but there's a lot of glass here, so visibility is excellent. And yes, there are cameras to show you all kinds of things to make your parking life a little bit easier. What I will say is there's a tremendous amount of room in the trunk. I took a lot of stuff on a big road trip, and the trunk had no problem swallowing all of the stuff I was bringing with some room to spare. The other thing I will have to mention, over long distances, this is also exceptionally comfortable and quiet. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later, but it definitely left me with that impression. Very quiet in here and very comfortable. Launching this thing is incredible. This is not an M4. This is an M440i, and it'll do 0 to 60 in a couple of ticks, over 4 seconds. On top of that, top speeds, 155 miles an hour. It's electronically limited, of course, but that's more than enough. This car has incredible acceleration. That's not only due to the engine as well as the mild hybrid. That electric motor does assist a little bit, and it's made a big difference in a number of ways, as we will discuss later in this episode. But in terms of acceleration, this is incredibly quick in a straight line. And again, not just the engine, but also the mild hybrid and the all-wheel drive system and that diff. This puts down power intuitively, naturally, in every instance, and I'm incredibly impressed because this is not a full M car. Yes, it does have an M badge, but this is not an M4. This is just an M440i, and it is incredibly well sorted in terms of how it managed to put down all of the power and all of the torque anytime you want it. In addition, the transmission is very well sorted. It performs just like you want it to. If we're cruising along like we are here and we wanted maximum acceleration, all I need to do is hit that throttle, put it all the way to the floor like this, and there we go. And the thing is that we're just driving along in the default mode. It's comfort. I haven't really messed with sport mode, with the exception of a couple of points where I was enjoying myself in the corners, but it's really not necessary on a day-to-day basis. And this engine with the mild hybrid is incredibly torquey and responsive. That was a little bit of an exaggeration, but here, for example, if you want to lean into the throttle, well, drops a couple of gears and we got maximum torque and maximum acceleration. This is just a very well sorted drivetrain. Incredibly impressed here. I should mention the xDrive all-wheel drive system. I don't know how they do it, but it works exceptionally well. It is rear biased, which is what we want in a coupe like this to give it some rear wheel drive dynamics. And then it is all-wheel drive in case we need some additional traction in low grip conditions, or in this part of the world we do have winter, so it's helpful having the all-wheel drive system. But for the most part, its dynamics are rear drive oriented, and it is a well-resolved drivetrain. I am so impressed with this, especially since it's not a full M4 here. It's just exceptionally well sorted, and I think if the M4 didn't exist, this would be the talk of the town. And a word about this engine, it is delightful. 3-liter inline-6 turbocharged, and it is silky smooth. There's a little bit of a rumble here just as we're getting on the throttle, and I don't know how they do it. Tons of torque, tons of power. You can run it up to redline so that it makes maximum power, and just cruising along, maximum torque is just a push of the throttle away. This is just an incredible motor, and I hope BMW keeps making these for a long, long time. In terms of handling, I think this strikes a wonderful balance between outright handling and comfort. A lot of credit goes to the damping. These are just wonderful dampers, and they do an excellent job. Yes, you can change the responsiveness of the dampers with drive modes. No real need to put this in a sport mode. I have been driving it for the most part in the default mode, which is comfort, and it works wonderfully. No real need to mess with it. The thing about this car's dynamics is that they are fully resolved, and it creates a harmonious package. The steering is fantastic. We know it's variable ratio, variable assist, but it's also very intuitive. Some other systems don't necessarily work as intuitively as this one. This just works perfectly every time I want the appropriate input. If I'm parking, it's fantastic. If I'm hustling through the corners on some great country roads, it does exactly what I want it to do. This steering is definitely a highlight of this M440i. As well, brakes are incredible. This one does have the bigger M brakes, and these are fantastic. Because I have put on a few miles on this thing, I've had occasion where someone has pulled out in front when they shouldn't have, and I've had to jump on the brakes. And these brakes are powerful, great control, feel, and modulation with that brake pedal, and I'm seriously impressed. And again, if there weren't an M4, this M440i would stand on its own just for its dynamics alone. Covering a good bit of highway miles, the suspension proved to be very comfortable, and again, like I said, strikes a great balance between comfort and handling. And over a long trip, this is very, very comfortable. It's surprising how comfortable it is, even though we do have some low profile tires here. No issue whatsoever in terms of ride comfort. You go back to sport mode, well, feels like it's tensed up, it's coiled up, and it's ready to attack the road. These tires are fantastically responsive. They communicate through the chassis. Not a lot of steering feel here. Of course, this is an electrically assisted kind of setup, and while it works just fine, this is not a lot of feel or feedback, so you got to pay attention to chassis feel more than anything else, and thankfully this chassis communicates to the driver. Overall, as a performance-oriented luxury coupe, this is an incredible machine. It's so well-rounded, it's so versatile, and it kind of does everything that you want. Great performance, great handling, and satisfies you as a driver. How do you spec yours? Well, that is a big question, and there are plenty of choices to make when speccing your M440i.
What you are looking at is a 2025 BMW M440i xDrive Coupe finished in Vegas red metallic with black Vernasca leather with coral red highlights on the inside. Base price in the US is $66,250, and well option, this as tested is $74,700 US. In Canada, base price is $72,300, and as tested, it's $83,450. These prices are before freight and local taxes. And keep in mind, this one is well optioned, including the M Sport Pro package, which includes the all-important M Sport brakes. Another consideration, of course, is that in the US, you can get your M440i Coupe in rear drive or xDrive configurations.
If you are determining a spec, this one's not so bad. This red paint is elegant and works very well on this bodywork. I'm very impressed, and this interior is very much to my liking. Mostly black, a little bit of red trim. Not quite sure why there's a red marker at the top of the steering wheel here, and this is an M440i, not an M4. I'm sure somebody made that decision based on data that said they would sell more cars with a red stripe at the top of the steering wheel in their M440i coupes. There are a couple of key considerations. I think you do want these Michelin Pilot Sport summer tires. These are just fantastic, and on top of that, you definitely want these bigger M brakes. This is the way to go, especially if you're going to drive enthusiastically like I do. My verdict, well, it's been an incredible time behind the wheel of this M440i. I've spent a great deal of time here, and I've enjoyed every single second of it. This is a coupe that kinda does everything. It's got a tremendous amount of performance. It's comfortable, it's quiet, and then on top of that, it's got satisfying dynamics. It is a very well-rounded car, and as I've been saying, if the M4 didn't exist, everybody would be talking about this thing because its performance is so formidable, and then on top of that, it's very luxurious. There's a lot of delight, a lot of surprise here, some very special touches, and we don't get into that on this channel, but it is a very distinctive coupe, and it's a pleasure to live with on a day-to-day basis. But its biggest surprise, you're not going to believe this. I didn't believe this. In my time with this M440i, I have averaged 28 miles per gallon, and that is unheard of. For my Canadian friends, that's 8.4 liters per 100 kilometers, and for me, I would never have guessed. I would have expected something in the low 20s at the very minimum. So when you consider that this thing will do 0 to 60 in just a tick over 4 seconds, it is very, very fast, incredible handling as well, and then can deliver on fuel consumption, blows my mind. That was such a pleasant surprise, especially given the performance and dynamics envelope and its overall competence and satisfaction as a fun to drive coupe. Here's the thing. This car is incredible in terms of its overall dynamic package, how it puts down power, how it handles in the corners. It's so well resolved, it's like it reads your mind. This just blows me away, and great fuel consumption is icing on the cake. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this 2025 BMW M440i xDrive Coupe. Hope you liked this episode, and if you did, you're not new, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this, and as always, sharing is caring, so please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even BMW M440i coupes.
And if you've stuck around this long, well, check out our episode about the 2024 BMW M440i Gran Coupe. Hope you like the episode as much as I enjoyed that car.